Now I'm sure you guys have seen multiple videos on how Sasuke can awaken a new Rinnegan or even create a new artificial dojutsu with the assistance of a model. But what if I told you that there's another way for Sasuke to attain a new Rinnegan? What if I told you that it has been stored in a bottle this entire time? And of course, as the video title suggests, the Rinnegans in question would be Madara's Rinnegans.
What a failure.
Now I'm sure a lot of people are under the assumption that Madara lost his Rinnegans at the end of the battle with Kaguya, but that's not actually the case. If you go back to the moments before Madara actually died and the Hokages returned to the Pure Lands, we can see that Madara still had his Sharingans active, well at least in the anime continuity. In the manga, Madara's eyes were grayed out akin to Itachi's eyes moments before he died. However, this doesn't mean that his eyes lost their light or power, since in Itachi's case this happened because he overused his Mangekyo Sharingan, which is stated to make the user go blind and lose sight in their eyes. However, this isn't permanent, since if a clansman closely related by blood takes those eyes and implants them into his eye sockets, they will awaken the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, thus restoring light into those eyes. Now Madara's case is different, as he didn't lose sight in his eyes since he already awakened the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan by taking his brother's eyes. And as we know, the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan never loses its light, as it's eternal. Why Madara's eyes were grayed out is likely due to him being on the verge of death, and this is pretty much supported by the anime since he had his Sharingans active, showing that his eyes were perfectly fine. One thing to also note is that Madara has the ability to activate and deactivate his Rinnegans at will, as shown when he first activated both his Rinnegans to absorb Naruto's Rasen Shuriken, then later only keeping one active when headed into battle with Hashirama. So this would explain why Madara's eyes are no longer Rinnegans, since in this scene he's on the verge of death and likely doesn't have the power to maintain them. Now when it comes to Sasuke getting a hold of these Rinnegans, it's highly likely that they are being stored in some facility to have them preserved, similar to what Obito did with the eyes of the Uchiha clan members killed in the slaughter. Now the Leaf Village normally burns the bodies of fallen comrades so that others can't gain the secrets to the abilities the bodies once held, which likely means that they likely burned Madara's body this time around, but that doesn't mean that they also burnt his Rinnegans as well. It would be stupid to do so given the power of the dojutsu. Now we might see a case where Sasuke retrieves those eyes and implants them into his eye sockets, thus boosting his power to an exorbitant degree. Since not only does the Rinnegan supply chakra and a physical power boost to the body as confirmed by Obito, they also contain and supply 6 paths chakra, since that's the chakra that awakens the Rinnegan. Along with the fact that these eyes are Jubi chakra / 6 paths amped, as were Obito's eyes after he became the 10-tailed Jinchuriki as confirmed by Kakashi. But not only would Sasuke gain a physical power boost and all the base Rinnegan abilities, it's also possible that he gains access to Limbo, which is a special ability of Madara's Rinnegan that allows him to create clones of himself that exist in another plane of existence that are also equal in power to him and have access to all of his abilities. It's also unique in the sense that in order for you to see Limbo, you need to possess the Rinnegan, and it's also possible that you need to have a Rinnegan awakened by Hagoromo's 6 paths chakra, as were Madara's and Sasuke's. It's also likely that you need to have a deeper connection than blood, as indicated by Madara when he realized that Sasuke could see his Limbo with his Rinnegan, which is obviously referring to them both being the reincarnation of Indra, since that's the only deeper connection they share. And due to this deeper connection, Madara also believed that Sasuke's Rinnegan would work perfectly for him and tried to steal it. What this means is that the same thing should apply to Sasuke if he takes Madara's Rinnegans. His eyes should work perfectly for him and he should gain access to Limbo due to the connection they share. One thing to also note is that during the war when Madara was fighting Kakashi and Obito, who still had one of his Rinnegans, Madara, while thinking to himself, said maybe he should get the fight over quickly and use Limbo, but then opted to not do so while Obito has his other Rinnegan. Now why would Madara decide not to use his Limbo ability because Obito has access to one of his Rinnegans? It's not like he can't use Limbo with one Rinnegan, since he did use it against the Tail Beast a few chapters before this one. And it can't just be because he didn't want Obito to see them, because that Limbo clone would be equal to Madara in power and would just aid Madara in defeating Obito and Kakashi anyway. The more logical conclusion is that he didn't want Obito to become aware of the ability, as he might use it himself. And this makes sense since the Rinnegan is really just an evolved version of the Sharingan, and similar to how Kakashi was able to use Obito's Kamui, it's likely that you can also use the special ability of the Rinnegan as well if you are aware of what it is. Like Kakashi didn't gain access to Kamui until later on in life, long after Obito did. And Obito has had Madara's Rinnegans for like a week at max, back, so it makes sense that he wouldn't have discovered limbo as yet. Now Nagato did have the Rinnegan for his entire life, but he likely couldn't use it since he wasn't an Uchiha, similar to how he couldn't use the Susanoo. Now Sasuke would clearly be different since he's a pure-blooded Uchiha, along with being the reincarnation of Madara through being the reincarnation of Indra. So due to all this, Sasuke should gain access to limbo, especially since he knows all about it and how it works. This would be a great addition to Sasuke's arsenal because not only would Otsutsuki level characters with the Rinnegan not be able to see Sasuke's limbo since they don't have the connection shared between Madara and Sasuke. They also won't be able to sense or touch them since that requires 6-path Senjutsu, which is a type of chakra only produced by Hagoromo, Hamura, and the completed 10 Tails on Naruto's world. And the logic explained by Madara of Sasuke being able to see his limbo because of the deeper connection really makes sense, since if it was due to only the Rinnegan, then Sasuke would also be able to see Boruto's vanishing Rasengan. Like, if you're able to see something that exists in another plane of existence, which is the limbo clones, you should be able to see a vanishing Rasengan because it's really on the same plane of existence. Like Delta was able to see a vanishing Rasengan with her robot, right? So I believe that the logic does make sense, that the reason why Sasuke was able to see Madara's limbo clones is because they shared the connection through their chakra of being the reincarnation of Indra. So I think that does make sense, and that wouldn't be the case for any other Otsutsuki because they don't have the chakra of Ashura and Indra, nor Hagoromo and Hamura, right? They have different chakras from different worlds that they gain from consuming different chakra fruits. Like Momoshiki himself was also unable to see Boruto's vanishing Rasengan, right? So I think the logic does track. Now it's also possible that Sasuke regains access to his past Rinnegan ability that allowed him to switch places with any being or object. This would be very similar to how he retained access to his Mangekyo ability, Inferno Flame Control, which allows him to control Amaterasu even after taking out his own eyes and implanting Itachi's in order to gain the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. This means that a person's dojutsu ability isn't just stored in the eyes themselves, but also within the brain and can be used through another person's eyeball. Maybe someone you share a deeper connection with, like a brother or maybe your literal reincarnate, which would be Madara or Uchiha. Well, at least in the case of Sasuke. So just imagine a Sasuke with 2 Rinnegans that has the ability to use limbo on top of his original Rinnegan ability. He would easily be a troublesome foe even for stronger characters. Now there's also the possibility of genetic mutation, which would allow Sasuke to maybe gain a new ability off the Rinnegan by using Madara's Rinnegans in his own eye socket. Now this is just a theory really, that this might not happen. Of course the entire video itself is a theory, but I do believe that genetic mutation might play a part when Sasuke gains access to these Rinnegans, because it does make sense since he's pretty much mixing the genetics of Madara's with his own. Now you could argue that since they're the same reincarnation of the same person, that it really wouldn't make a difference. Like, since they're reincarnations of the same person, like genetic mutation wouldn't even like take place at all. So I do understand that argument as well. I do think it's possible anyway, but we'll see. All in all, that's the extent of the theory itself and the video, of course. But by the way, I did do a video regarding this topic of someone gaining Madara's Rinnegans, but it was about Sarada instead. That video is on the channel, so you guys can go check it out. And it's pretty much the same theory, but I went deep into like genetic mutation because this is Sarada, not Sasuke, so it might apply there because she isn't the reincarnation of anyone, right? So it might take a part in her gaining the upgrade needed to be Otsutsuki level. Now some massive level of like genetic mutation needs to take place for that to even be possible for Sarada, right? Or, you know, in other words, plot convenience. But we'll see how that plays out because Sarada is actually one of the hardest characters to like scale upwards to match everyone else, because, you know, Mitsuki has Sage Mode that has endless possibilities, and we'll see how that plays out for Mitsuki. Boruto and Kawaki are pretty much self-explanatory, so I don't need to go into that further. So Sarada really is the only character that you need to really go far into tinfoil hat territory to really scale up, but that's a topic for another video. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Do you think Sasuke might gain access to Madara's Rinnegans and might go out in a bang of glory and then pass them on to Sarada? You know, Sarada can use them later on. You know, do you think that that's plausible? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Drop a like if you like the video so we can get it in the algorithm. Check out my other videos on the channel. I did a top 20 strongest character in Boruto video like 2 weeks ago, I think. Go check it out. Let me know your thoughts. I also have a video on Sage Mode Naruto, which I think will play a huge part in Boruto's story later on in the series, so check out that video as well. But all in all, guys, have a great day. Peace out.